I see a lot of houses sitting on the market today, and I know that a lot of people are wondering why and questioning why, not understanding what's happening with the market or why their house is sitting. So I wanted to go over what's happening in Acadiana, but most specifically in Lafayette Parish, so people have an understanding of pricing and why it's so important that you price it correctly in this market. So as of right now, we are definitely our price the number of houses on the market are definitely higher than it was, say, during the time of COVID when the rates were super low and everybody was buying. When money was cheap, people were buying. Now the cost of buying a house and the monthly note is so significantly higher that people are just not buying the way that they were before for good reason. And so this information is basically our market report for October. It's a market summary for October 2024 to give you some really great insight into what's happening. So as of right now, we have about 1,200 houses that are just sitting. And then there's an additional number of houses between probably around 300 that are coming on the market every month in all of Lafayette from all price ranges. And then about the same amount are going pending. So as you can see, there's still about 1,000 houses that are still sitting. And people are, the ones that are sitting, you can see here, the listings that are active but they're not new, are at a higher price point. The average is around $275. And then the ones that are just coming on the market, that are seeing the numbers for what they are today, are actually coming on in a lower price point of like $255. Now again, this is the median average across Lafayette. And then they're selling for around, like the medium sold price is around the 245-ish mark. So that just gives you some insight into what's actually holding on the market. It's the higher price points, and then what's coming on the market, like these new active ones that are coming on and being super competitive, and then what's actually being sold and what those price points look like. Now our days on market and everything is still pretty high. It's still in the 70s. But this is really important information for everybody to see. This is like sold and pending listings. But what I want to really hone in on is the active listings and the new listings for this month, and then, compared to last year. So we definitely have more sitting compared to last year. It's not considerably more, but the area of concern that I've been noticing is this 200 all the way to like the 400, maybe even 500. As you can see, those different areas, those different price points are holding over 200, most of them. And then there's new listings coming. There's probably 70 to 75 new listings coming for each of those price points every single month. And then less of those are going pending, and about the same, there's obviously less that are being sold, but it's about the same that are being sold, or maybe a little bit less. But anyway, I just want to give you that overview because it's really important for people to know that in the 200 to 400 price point, it's hyper competitive. There are so many houses on the market right now that buyers can take their pick. It's really important that you think about all the different things that affect the sale of a house: price, location, condition, and marketing. The price of the house really and truly is the number one thing that will sell the house. And here's why. The location, you can't move the location. Now, I am seeing houses that are in Midtown, Midtown, Freetown, the same streets, those tend to still go fairly quickly just because of the location being kind of in proximity to Midtown and also in proximity of the university. That's pretty normal. Condition, if you have a house that's not in great condition, then that's one thing. If you have a house that's basically new construction or in really immaculate condition, there's not much you can do to change the condition of the house, and sometimes people can't afford to. And then, of course, the marketing, there is tons of marketing. When you list a house on the market, number one, it's going everywhere. It's going to over 300 sites, Realtor.com, Zillow.com, it's going everywhere. But then your agent is also doing things to make it stand out of the box, posting on social media, running advertising so so people can see it. Aside from just, in all of the listings that they're getting on the MLS that are getting emailed to them every day, it's nice whenever they have one that stands out because somebody posted it on social media or somebody did a video. So those types of things are helping them to be more noticed in the whole sea of houses that are available. So there's really only one other thing that it can be, and it's your pricing. And typically that's what it boils down to. If your house is not selling, it's most of the time it's because of the price, unless there's something really wrong with it. But this is really important for everybody to see. Within the first 3 weeks, of a house hitting the market is when it generates the most amount of leads. That's when you're going to have the most people coming through the door. And so if it's priced right in those first 3 weeks, you'll have the most amount of people come through and potentially get an offer. After that time, people kind of drop off. And that's just kind of the nature of the game. When things have been sitting for a while, people understand, or people just kind of know it just, it's a stale listing, or what's wrong with it, something like that. So if you're not pricing it correctly from the get-go, then you're missing out on opportunity. Because just as a very extreme example, let's say that your house is worth $100,000, but you listed at $200,000. And all the people that are approved for $200,000 come through and they go, oh, that's not worth $200,000, and they move on. The people that would have bought at $100,000 have already gone and bought something else. And until you drop down to the price that makes sense, it's just not going to sell. That's just the way it is. And a lot of times when it's been sitting for that long, people start to think there's something wrong with it. They want to try to do lowball offers, all these things that may not, benefit you. So it's better to get the pricing right in the beginning. The hard part about the market that we're in right now is that it's hard to tell what the right price is going to be in this market, because it's almost like you have to project what's going to happen 3 months ahead of now. Because what we think a house might go for today, based on the comps that happened within the last 3, 6, 12 months, that is not necessarily what's happening, because the prices are actively dropping as the interest rates go up, or as they kind of hold steady and people are like, okay, I really have to move for work, or I'm having that third child, I need to move, I need a downside, whatever. People are like, I'm done, I don't want to do it anymore. And then they're dropping down to something that's more reasonable for what's on the market. And I mean, please consider how many houses are on the market. Buyers can choose. They want the best that they can get for their money. So if they're looking at 4 identical houses on the same street, which one do you think they're going to pick? They're going to pick the one that is the best value, that gives them the most for their money. Or if they really, really are identical, then they're going to pick the least expensive one. That's just how it is. I mean, it's just, if you were going to buy a computer and there were 4 computer stores side by side, you're going to pick, if you're buying that one specific computer, you're going to pick the one that has the $20 off coupon, or whatever the case may be. It's going to be the least expensive one. Or it might be the one that's the same price, but it's also got the monitor and the printer and extra stuff thrown in. So that's also something that you have to think about. If it's 4 houses on the same street, they're all priced exactly the same, but this one has a pool, a gazebo, a patio, a front porch, like an extra shed that they added since the construction of this neighborhood. Guess which one's going to go first? That's just the nature of the way that, the way that buying works. So I only have one more thing to show, and it's for this specific neighborhood. What's been happening over the last few months. So these are the houses that are currently active. There's some that are not new construction. Then there's some that are new construction. And just so you can see the ones that are actually pending, it is the new construction. So only the new construction right now is going pending. And those prices per square foot are $180 a square foot, $190 a square foot, and $190 a square foot. This house is $181 a square foot. So it's actually holding a little bit higher than the cheapest new construction that's in the neighborhood. So good reason to consider your competition, to consider all the price points. This one's at $158 a square foot. This one is at $191 a square foot and has a pool. Or maybe that's just a picture of the community pool, but it looks like newer construction. This one's $178. So you're definitely not the lowest in the neighborhood. And you're even slightly higher than the new construction. So all good reasons, in my opinion, to be more competitive with the pricing. Because you don't want to be the most expensive of the houses that have already been lived in. And right now you are. And then you also don't want to be higher than any of the new construction, which you also are right now. So I'd absolutely consider a little bit of a reduction to be competitive. It's still a little bit difficult because it's oversaturated. This neighborhood is oversaturated, and especially with new construction, a lot of people, the new construction is absolutely beautiful. I highly recommend that you go take a look at it so you can see what the competition is. And I think that those you can pretty much go anytime. They might even be open like most of the time, unlocked. But just all things to consider. It's definitely a different market. It's not 2021 anymore. We don't have the same interest rates. We are fighting for buyers' attention. There's so few buyers compared to the houses on the market, so that you really have to stand out with either amenities and upgrades or your price. So all things to think about whenever you're pricing, reducing price, all very, very, very important details. I hope this helps a ton. Have an amazing day.